Hey guys, my name's Amanda, and my business card says that I'm an illustrator, so I guess that's true. So it's the month of May, and for a lot of artists that means Mer-May, which is an art challenge where your subject for the whole month is mermaids. So today, I drew a mermaid. While I'm painting this mermaid for you guys, I kind of want to give you my thoughts about art challenges in general. They're kind of an interesting phenomenon, and I have some opinions on them. So let's jump in. So before we really get started, I want to give a little bit of context to this drawing. I wasn't really intending on drawing or painting anything for Mer-May. I actually don't do art challenges too often. I've done a few. I actually happened to be at Starbucks a little bit ago doing the sketch group that I referred to in my first video. And I don't know, I was just sort of looking around trying to figure out what I wanted to draw, and I saw, the Starbucks logo, and I was like, well, that's a mermaid. That's interesting. What if she were like stuck in the cup as opposed to just being the logo? So I just doodled something out in my sketchbook, and I was like, that's actually kind of an interesting idea. I think I want to bring this into a full painting. So that's what this is. And it was just a little bit of a coincidence that it coincided with the month of May. So I was like, that's interesting. Okay, mermaid, Mer-May. Yeah, so topical. I'm doing it. I'm doing the internet. My thoughts on art challenges in general, I have some reasons why one would do an art challenge and some reasons why one might not do an art challenge. And I'm going to be referring to a lot of different art challenges online. And if you're not familiar with them, I'm actually just going to edit a little bit of a summary of what the art challenge is when I refer to it. Future Amanda that's editing this video is going to hate me, but present Amanda doesn't care. So I kind of want to go over some of the good aspects of art challenges because there's a lot. The main overarching theme or question about art challenges that I want you to keep in the back of your head when you're thinking, oh, should I do an art challenge? Is keep referring back to the question, why am I doing this challenge? Because the motivation for doing the challenge is actually quite important. I don't know, there's different reasons and motivations why someone would want to do an art challenge, but for me, doing an art challenge is so that I can improve my skills at art. Now, the first really good thing about art challenges is they really help you learn a lot in a short amount of time. An art challenge that I did recently is actually Meds 100 Heads. That actually helped me go back to fundamentals that I sort of phased out of my normal workflow. It really made me focus on the structure of the head that I had sort of lost along the way. You draw the same thing over and over again, and sometimes you lean more heavily on muscle memory and less on the knowledge that you would gain from like studies and stuff. Because I draw faces and heads a lot, that actually helped me learn things that I didn't know, and it also helped me break bad art habits that I had formed by not going back to studying what I thought I knew so well, So that helped me a lot. And just overall, if you do an art challenge of something that you're not used to drawing, it can really help you learn a lot in a very short amount of time. So that's a pretty good pro. Speaking of drawing stuff that you don't draw often, the next thing is that art challenges really pull you out of your comfort zone like nothing else. It's pretty amazing, but you gotta be a little bit careful. It's a bit of a double-edged sword here. Especially if you're doing an art challenge that's lasting multiple days, because the popular setup is about 30-day art challenge for a month. There's a lot of those. If you draw stuff that you don't really draw a lot, that maybe you don't like drawing, like I don't like drawing vehicles. Oh my god, I could not even imagine drawing vehicles for 30 days. See, that's the thing. If you draw for 30 days things that you don't like, then you're gonna get burned out like after the second drawing, and it's gonna be a little bit miserable. But on the flip side, how do you know you don't like drawing something that you don't normally draw if you don't at least give it a chance and commit some time to draw it, So there's a lot of subjects that I didn't think I would like drawing that I sat down, gave myself a challenge, and now it turns out I really like it. Like fabric and clothing for me, when a while back, I did not like drawing clothes or fabric or anything, but now I actually really like it because I sort of gave myself this challenge of looking up the hashtag outfit of the day tags on Instagram and stuff, and that was such a great time learning for me because I learned so much about how fabric hangs on the human body and just like a lot of cool outfits that you wouldn't really think of when you're drawing characters and stuff. It really, really helped me, and it filled out my creative library in my brain about outfits. So that worked out, and I didn't think I was gonna like it, but I love drawing outfits and costumes now, so you never know until you try, right? Another great thing that art challenges help you with is that if you're experiencing art block or whatever at any time, the prompt-based art challenges will really pull you out of that. There's actually a huge month-based list of these art challenges. Like a few of them are March of Robots, Mermay, like this, Junebug, Drawtober, and Dinovember. And those are all subject-based challenges where you're drawing variations on one subject for the whole month. And that can really pull you out of a rut. Sometimes you get tired of drawing the same thing over and over again, and this sort of forces you to try something different. So that can help you sort of get out of that rut and start drawing a lot more confidently again. Another awesome positive about art challenges is that the way that they're structured, it makes you constrain yourself by limiting what you can draw in some sort of way. And constraint can really propel your creativity. There's this idea that you can be paralyzed by choice, If you can do everything, you may be afraid to do anything. And the biggest example I have of that for me is that when I was first learning how to do digital drawing, I opened up Photoshop and there was so much to choose from. And I would just get lost in the brushes. There were just a gajillion brushes and I didn't know what to do. So the best advice that helped me really jump into Photoshop, I believe, was from Matt Cora's Control Paint. Basically, he said to delete all of your brushes except for hard round, soft round. Because when you're first starting out, that's all you essentially need. Eventually you want to bring back in more brushes little by little, but when you're first starting out, the choices are paralyzing. And if you limit those choices, it really helps. Some art challenges that I think really help with constraining you, and it helps with your creativity, is the famous Inktober from Jake Parker. And I don't know who made this one, but Huevember. I haven't tried Huevember yet, but I really want to because I struggle with color. I really do. Another really big thing that art challenges help you with, and I struggle with this a lot, time frame based challenges really helps you with your discipline and your commitment to draw more frequently and to kickstart good drawing habits, If you can stick to a 30-day art challenge where you draw something for 30 days and you commit yourself to these slightly constraining rules, like for Mermay or any other sort of subject-based art challenge, you're going to be drawing the same subject for 30 days or 31 days or however. Or if you do February, I wonder what subject is in February. I don't know all of them. If you know more like month-based art challenges, put them in the comments because I don't know all that many of them. But if you can draw the same subject in like a different way every day for a month, that's a huge commitment. And if you can commit to that, that is an awesome testament to your discipline. Or it could help build that discipline muscle, if you want to think of it that way. Okay, so I talked about some of the good stuff. let's talk about some of the bad stuff, some of the reasons why maybe you shouldn't do an art challenge. I feel like a lot of people, without thinking about it too much, say like, yes, art challenge, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be great and I'm gonna get so much better and blah, blah, blah. And they sort of blindly run into it. But there are some cons to doing art challenges, so let's talk about that. So because most art challenges are time-based, for me, a lot of times they can pull me out of other projects that I'm working on. Now, I can't say for sure because I've never been to art school, but I would compare it kind of to like quote-unquote fluff classes in art school that are like pulling you away from the things you actually want to learn and you actually want to do. I think my biggest example for myself personally would be when I was first learning digital art. It was kind of near October, and in my heart I knew I wanted to try Inktober again. I had successfully done it in 2015, and I think this was about 2016, and I knew I wanted to do Inktober again, but I had literally just gotten kind of that spark to really start doing digital art, and like something had clicked, and all I wanted to do was just get better at digital art. But lo and behold, October comes around, and Inktober, the idea of me having to do Inktober, is looming over me. Anytime I do traditional art, for the most part, I'm doing ink anyway. So I feel like at that point, I go back to the reason why I do art challenges in the first place, to get better at something, you know? And in my head, I was thinking, well, I don't think I really want to practice inking right now. I ink kind of a lot when I do traditional, and right now I really, really want to learn and dig my heels into learning digital, and doing Inktober just isn't going to facilitate that for me right now, so I'm going to opt out, not going to worry about it. I feel like the feeling of obligation of doing an art challenge, especially when it's time-based, can be kind of ill-timed, and it might pull you away from something that your time is better spent there. So because art challenges are also based kind of in the online art community, they can be kind of trendy, you know? And I don't have any problem with like jumping on trends or anything. That's not bad to me. But again, you want to go back to that question, why am I doing this art challenge? And I understand that there's this community aspect, like some camaraderie around knowing that there's this whole group of artists that are all drawing the same thing at the same time and coming together. In the month of March, you feel it in your heart that so many other people are drawing a bunch of robots just like you. But I personally feel that the quote-unquote calendar model for art challenges is really just sort of made to facilitate like trending hashtags at the time, more than like, you know, growing or improving your art. A challenge that I actually really like that has no time constraint, you can literally do it whenever you want, is Jake Parker's lesser known but still awesome art challenge, Design 100 Somethings. You can do it on your own time. It's not constrained to any month or 30-day period or whatever. So I definitely want to give that one a shot. So this is a big con for me when it comes to art challenges is, I don't know, for me they can just get boring and monotonous, especially the ones that last several days. I mean, to me, drawing the same subject for 30 days can get boring after a while. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm gonna repeat it. Go back to the question of why am I doing this challenge? Unless the main part of the challenge is to stick with this challenge for 30 days or however long, I would say don't feel afraid to cut the challenge short if you feel you've gotten what you needed out of it, you know? A personal example is when I did, Meds 100 Heads. First of all, to keep it from getting a little bit stale for me, I actually decided that for each head that I drew, I would also include like a different design for horns that would be, attached to these people's heads, just to give it a little bit more interest to me, aside from just drawing heads. But also, I'm not ashamed to say it. I stopped at 50. What I wanted to get out of this challenge was to go back to my fundamentals with drawing the human face, really nail down what I might have been missing from facial construction and planes and the way lighting defines those planes. That's what I wanted to get back to. And I felt like at 50 heads, I made a huge improvement and I learned a lot. And beyond that, it just felt excessive. Now, I might go back and finish the rest of the heads, but I think that's for a later date. Something interesting that I was thinking about that I haven't tried myself would be to sort of mash 2 challenges together to see if that sort of livens it up for the full 30 days. Like, in the month of November, you could do Huevember and Dinovember, either making the subject about color theory and dinosaurs, or flip-flopping every other day. One day do a dinosaur drawing, and another day do a color palette study. And then flip back and forth for the rest of the month. That might keep it a little bit more lively and keep the boredom at bay. Some art challenges, I feel, can do more harm than good. You don't want to stress yourself out too much over an art challenge, in my opinion. I specifically want to mention Holly Brown's Sketchbook Slam Challenge that happened a couple years ago. The idea, I think, is pretty intriguing. If you haven't seen it, this sketchbook is thick, like double C dummy thick. Is that still a thing? I have dated this video, holy crap. But the idea is you want to fill this entire giant sketchbook, 300 pages, 600 back, front and back, 600 pages in 30 days. For me, the idea of having a 600 front back page sketchbook filled with sketches is actually really cool to me. I want to be able to like slam that big puppy down on the table and be like, let's take the next hour and a half and look through this gigantor sketchbook that I filled up. Yes, me, I filled it up. I can't do that in 30 days. I kind of want to modify it to make it like fill this sketchbook in a year, because I have a hard time filling a sketchbook, like a normal sketchbook, in a year. But yeah, filling a sketchbook up like that in 30 days is just extraordinarily overwhelming. And at that point, it's more about endurance than it is about learning anything. And the stress just overtakes every positive thing that could have came out of it. And essentially, it's not as helpful as one might think. Again, I'm gonna repeat it. You just have to keep reminding yourself of what the challenge is really for, and you have to keep reevaluating if the challenge is actually accomplishing that goal. In my opinion, in the instance of the Sketchbook Slam Challenge, I think that it's overkill, and in the end, it does not accomplish the goal, personally. But like I said, I want to modify it and do like the Sketchbook Slam 365 or something like that. I do want to have like a gigantor sketchbook filled with sketches. That sounds so cool, but I can't do it in 30 days. And I don't know many people that can, to be quite honest. So those are the good and the bad, in my opinion, about art challenges. I think they can be very useful, but I also think that people can get carried away with them. And at that point, they're not useful anymore. And an art challenge is essentially a tool to help you get better and more confident with art. But before we end this video, I totally could not finish up without addressing those really weird, gimmicky, goofy art challenges that you see on YouTube. I'm talking about the ones with like the crazy reaction faces in the thumbnails, and it's like, I drew with my foot for 17 hours upside down on a trapeze. Oh no, I drew with tree bark. It was like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of artists kind of like look down on those challenges, like the goofy, gimmicky ones. But in my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with them. Ultimately, they're not helping you learn much, but they're not hurting. And if I'm gonna put it like on a pro and con scale, I think they actually do help in a certain way, because it reminds you that art is creative and fun, you know? And again, my overarching art challenge goal is the art challenge must help me get better at drawing. Your art challenge goal does not have to be that. If your art challenge goal in this instance is, I just want to have fun and do some goofy crap, then that can totally be your art challenge goal, you know? You keep referring to that question, am I having fun and doing goofy crap? Then yes, keep doing the art challenge. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. In the same vein as doing goofy, gimmicky art challenges, if you have a group of art friends, I actually encourage you to play art games with your friends. Those are so much fun, and it can loosen you up, and it can facilitate this creativity that you would not have had otherwise. My suggestions for goofy art games to play with your friends, I have 3. The first one is, I am sure you might have heard of this before, but if not, it's the Exquisite Corpse. And basically, what that is you fold a piece of paper into thirds. And the first artist draws the first third, and then you pass it to the second artist and you hide the first part that was already drawn. And the second artist takes the lines that are bleeding over from the first drawing and they do their own drawing. They try to continue what they think was drawn in the first third. And then the final artist takes the last third. And then once you unfold the whole picture, it creates this like goofy menagerie of an illustration, and I love it. Second art game I would suggest is, my friends kind of call it Evolutions. It's a 3-person art game, and it's basically like Pokemon. You don't draw a Pokemon, but it's kind of like Pokemon. So the first artist draws a little creature. They design a little creature. And then the second artist takes that creature design and designs their own creature that would be the second evolution of that creature. And then the third artist takes that information and designs the larger third evolution creature that was originally designed. So that actually helps a lot with creature design, and it's really cute, and I love doing it. And the third dumb art game that I love playing with my art friends, I call it the stock photo game, and this was actually done on the Drawfee channel, which is what inspired me to play it with my friends. I thought it was hilarious. Your friends look up the goofiest, most ridiculous stock photo they can find on the internet, and then to the best of your ability, you have to draw the stock photo just based on how your friends describe what the stock photo looks like. And it's hysterical, and I love it. So those are some fun little in-the-moment art challenges that you can do with your friends. For those of you who stayed this long, thank you so much for joining me again with another video. Ultimately, I'm not entirely satisfied with how this painting turned out. I mean, it's fine, and not everyone's going to be a winner. But that's the whole point. It's an art journey, and this is where I am on my art journey right now. And if I keep going, and if you keep going, there's nowhere else to go but up. But thank you for joining me at this time and place in my art journey, and I hope to see you guys next time. Oh, bye! I drew with my foot for 17 hours upside down on a trapeze. Oh no, I drew with paint.